Imagine you want to build business applications without writing any code. So for those things we have low code platform tools. Today we will be exploring one of the top tool, Budibase. So what is Budibase? It's a low code platform tool where you can build your any kind of business applications, processes without writing any code, and it's totally open source. You can host it on your own servers. So Budibase, it comes with the automations, responsiveness, and it's totally open source. It does have the multiple connectors. You can connect Budibase with your external data sources, MySQL, REST API, Postgres, any of your database servers. And it comes with the internal database also. So if you want to manage database in the Budibase, you can do also. Budibase, all of the applications in the Budibase, they are by default responsive. So you don't need to be care for the responsiveness. Budibase have different widgets, tables, charts, cards, everything is there. You can just need to drag and drop multi-processes from builders. You can write JavaScript also. You can configure the roles. You can configure the automations. And more likely you can configure and control every part of your application using conditional UI. We'll see all those things in our demo. It have the power for the automation. You can integrate with external tools, webhooks. You can do it's kind of a Zapier, you can say, on your data. You can connect SSO, Google SSO or any other SSO, everything. The good thing is you can host this solution on your Amazon, VM, Docker, Kubernetes, everywhere. And it's a simple deployment. Let's deep dive into the documentation and try to configure how to install Budibase and how to configure the Budibase. So Budibase, it comes up with the different installation processes. You can install the Budibase on the bare metal machine like Amazon, DigitalOcean, anywhere. You have the option to install Budibase on Docker. It comes up with a Docker compose file. You can configure the compose file, pass the relevant params. You can use the Kubernetes operator. You can install using Helm chart. Everything is there. So let's go and try to install using Docker compose. I just copy the content and I'll make a Docker compose file. Moving on, I will copy my env variables which I want to pass to the containers. You can hardcode directly into the Docker compose also. Let's go and deep dive to the Docker compose file. So Docker compose file, it consists of multiple services. You have the app service for the Budibase. You can configure multiple environment variables from here, like it's connected with your CouchDB. Budibase, it work with the CouchDB server. You can connect with the MyNew. It's an open source alternative to S3 for the attachments for data storage. You can configure all of those params in env. If you want to check in detail, you can just come up to the documentation and you can see everything listed here. For each and every service, you can configure accordingly. So we'll go with the minimal installation for now. Moving on, we have worker services, the proxy service, MyNew service, S3 service, the CouchDB, Redis, everything which is a part of a Budibase stack. So Budibase, it consists of multiple services, and you can pause all the environment variables through an env file, or you can hardcode those variables in the containers directly also. So these are some by default configurations. If you want to change, you can change from here. We can use the CLI for Docker compose up to spin up the cluster, but for this video I am not using Docker compose from CLI. We have one open source solution, Portainer, which gives the ability to a graphical interface for the Dockers. So in order to use this, you can just come up to the settings, put the link for the app templates of the Budibase, and under the app templates you can see you can write the stack name, configure the parameters, and it's a single click deployment. It's much easy to maintain and deploy the applications through Portainer or any kind of Docker applications or Docker stack. You can configure from here. You can configure multiple options, multiple params from here. Easy to debug application from here, easy to check the logs, execution. So our stack is deployed now. Let's go to the Budibase stack and see what are the options. If you will move to the editor, you will see it's loading now. Yeah, so you will see everything for the Docker Compose which we see before. It's listed here. Other than that, you can see your environment variables also here. You can add new environment variables, upload from the env file. It's all upon you. So our stack is running now. Let's go to the containers. You can see different containers are running for proxy, Budibase, worker, app, Redis. For now we will be using Budibase proxy because it's an Nginx proxy. We will redirect the request from proxy to other. So you'll open the published pod. You will be presenting the initial setup for Budibase. Here you can create your initial admin user, which we can later use to log into the application. So once you created the user, redirect to the login screen. You can use your username password which you set up in the last step, and we are done with the Budibase. Our Budibase is up and running. Let's go and explore the components. First one is the app component. It will show all of your running applications. Then you have the users. You can add users. You can configure the users from here, which applications they need to have access, what are the roles, everything you can configure for a user here. So it's also it will be linked through your SSO provider. Moving next, we have Auth0. If you want to enable SSO using Google or any OpenID Connect, you can put the credentials and it will work for you. For email, you can configure the email credentials, email templates. These templates basically we will be using in our applications. So you can use all of those templates here. These are the organizational settings. Theme, Budibase come up with different themes. If you want to change the theme of your whole Budibase, or even you can customize the theme for a specific application. These are the updates. Let's go and see the application section. These are some predefined templates which you can use. You can import the application if you have a already running Budibase application, or you can just create an application from scratch from here as well also. Let's start with importing a template. There is one template for employee portal. Let's go and explore the template to see how Budibase is working. So this is our employee portal. We'll just use this template, set the name. If you want to change, and on the one click your application will be deployed. So on the first screen on the data section, we have the database schema for our application. You can connect your application with the external data sources also if you have any external database source. Right now this template, it's using the internal database which is in CouchDB Budibase. It's on managing its own database. So you will see all of your database schema, structure, everything here. You can import, export the schema, everything. You can do the operations from here. The next screen is for the design screen. It will show you everything for your application. If you will run this application, you will see the working application in your browser. You can navigate to different screens. This all data is coming from your database, your processes, how you configure the application. You can set up multiple attachments, everything is working fine. So you can debug, test the application in a real environment from here. Add multiple screens, navigation, different components you can use from here, so it's not a problem. Let's try to import one other application. You can import multiple applications also. So let's try to import one other application called ticketing system, which most of the enterprise companies are using to manage their processes. Let's suppose for the request management and ITSME or something like this. So Budibase, it does have this template by default. We will see this template in detail. On the source side, this is our data schema. It does, if you will run it, you will see the working application here. It comes up with the beautiful dashboards. The data is coming from our data sources. You can bring up different charts, some amazing stuff here. If you want to debug, you can switch the users from here. If you want to see how this application is working with the other users, you can define multiple roles, multiple screens which have a specific role. So you have by default a secure access to all of your screens, even the components. So this is our design screen. On the left side, you can filter the screens with the access. You can create multiple screens with different accesses, with different roles. On the left side, it's kind of a navigation stack we have here. You can add multiple screens here. You can add new screens. You will see all of your routings, everything here. Everything is listed here. On the center, you have the blocks, the components which you need to drag and drop for your application. So you can just drag and drop those components, link them with the data source, provide the content, and it will be it will be rendered here also. So on the left side, you can create multiple screens. If you want to test some screen, you can just switch to the responsive mode also. So how your application is working with the different screen sizes, you can test from here. By default, Budibase, it comes with the responsiveness. On the right side, you have the configuration for your screens, the URLs, access, navigation stack, the container properties, inline CSS, everything. And the most important thing is, if you want to control some UI elements based on conditions, want to show or hide something based on the user role or user, you can configure for every component here. Moving on layouts, this is our navigation stack. You can have multiple navigation stack for an application with different roles, different access. It's based on your requirements, how you want to work with, but you can create multiple navigation stacks from here. And on the right side, you can configure multiple components of that stack, like the headers, logo, these kind of settings. And also you can put some conditional UI here also. So this is a template. Moving on, next we have the automation part. If you want to automate some process, something in your application, you can configure from here. So let's try to create one automation rule. You can trigger this rule based on different conditions. You can trigger this rule by cron job, by webhook, or whenever something happen in your database, or whenever something happen in your application action. So these are all the things from where you can trigger your this automation flow. So let's create one automation rule. So we said whenever a row is created on this table, on tickets table, something will happen. So we can define here different actions, what you want to do. You want to post to Slack, you want to send emails, do different stuff. You can configure from here. Let's suppose you want to send some notification to Slack. You can just choose the Slack component, put the webhook for the Slack, write the message, If you want to get something from your old component, because it does have the support for JavaScript and handlebars, and on the left side the ready-made components also here, so you can just use them. It will show you the value. If you want to fetch some value from your previous stage or something, you can just use the handlebar and use the values from the last step, and it's very easy, well documented. You can just explore them. Also, you can configure multiple actions on one automation. You can configure multiple actions. You want to execute some stuff, connect with external data source, run some scripting, everything you can configure from here. So this automation part will make your application a full-fledged automation. If you want to trigger something, you have a streaming system, event-driven system here. You can configure from here easily. So this is all about the templates, how you can use a template, run the template. Moving on next, let's suppose we have one application, employee portal, and we want to publish this application for our internal users or for the public users. So if you go to the employee portal, you will see every information for that application. What's the version, who edited, everything for the settings. If you want to change some stuff, you can configure from here. Even you can update the application, you can delete the application from here, you can export the application from here. It's easy for you. So let's suppose I want to publish this application. I go to this application. On the right side I have the publish button. I will just go and upload or publish this version on this URL. So when someone will go to this URL, if it's authenticated, he can use your application, and your application is live now. It's connected with your data sources and it's working well, and it does have the version control also. So let's suppose if I want to open this application without authentication, let's see how it will work. So whenever you go to this URL, if you are not authenticated, you will be redirected to the login screen. If your user is authenticated with this application, meaning it does have the access for this application, then it will log in, otherwise it will not work. So come, let's move and try to create an application from scratch. You can create the application from scratch, something like this. Choose the connector. If you want to connect with the external data source, for now I'm going with the internal Budibase database. You can import the schema here, or you can create your data structure here. If you familiar with your business processes, you can configure this. This is not a tough job for any business analyst or business person. So our table is created. Second thing is to configure the columns. On the columns you have all the options like relational, formula, JSON, attachments. You can configure all type of columns from here. So let's go and create some columns here. With the text field you can set primary, secondary, everything configure from here. Let's try to create one more column for the attachment. I want to attach some stuff here. Just come up here, choose the attachment. You just only need to know how the application will work, and the Budibase will do for you. So if you come to the design, by default you have a blank screen. You have two options. Either you will drag and drop the components by yourself, but if you want to use the Budibase power, you can use the auto generated screens. It will create a screen from your database schema. Just tell him the table and it will create a proper CRUD operation on paste of that table. Means the list of the records, the create operation, update operation, delete operation on any table.
Operation fields are created here.
So this is how you can bring up your any application on Budibase, and it's easy to use, totally open source. You can host it on any of your version, on Docker, on Kubernetes, and it works well. And according to our experience, we have been using this tool for overall long time, and it works well with the business processes, internal applications. Even you can bring up for the public application also. It's simple to use, just give it a try. I will attach the blog URL down to check the configuration. Every links will be here. If you have any question, anything, just ping me in the comments. I will try to update on earliest. Thank you very much.